Okay, the first thing I want to do is I want to show you how to create a perfect circle or close to perfect circle. There's many ways to do it, but if you don't have the right tools on hand, this is another way. You could get just a strip of poster board and make a dot. Depending on how wide you want that circle to be, you just have to get half that length. So if I'm looking for a 3-inch circle from end to end, I'm gonna measure 1.5 inches. So from that dot that I created, I am going to measure 1.5 inches. And now this is poster board, so it's easy to rip. So just rip that, and now on those dots, I want to put a hole right through them with my pencil. If you have something else that's not a pencil, use that, because I don't want your lead to break, but the pencil is pretty perfect for it. And do that on both of these dots. You see, just like that. So my lead broke. I'm gonna see if I could still put that hole through it. So I did. Now I have to go back and sharpen my pencil. So I got another pencil that already has a point. Now to make my circle, I'm gonna get my cardboard from my cereal box. If you didn't bring a cereal box or you don't have a cereal box, just use some cardboard that's available. Now holding it on one end, I'm going to put a sharp pencil on the other end. Make sure it makes that line. You also have to make sure you don't move the cardboard too much, and that's going to make a perfect circle for you. I want you to make 4 of those. 4 of those, and we're going to cut them out. What we're aiming for here is we're going to make a sphere. The sphere is going to come in handy for a lot of different projects. Alright, now go ahead and cut those out. Now you have your 4 spheres. What I want you to do is get your ruler. If you don't have a ruler, just use any straight edge. So you could use a piece of poster board or whatever you have, but you should have a ruler. And make a straight line going through the middle of every single one. Try to get it really through the middle. So that first line was not through the middle, neither is that one. Okay, so I'm going to try to use that middle line. And do that to all of them. Now all 4 of them have a line through the middle or close to the middle, but at least for one of them you're going to need a line on both sides. Now in order to get that line on both sides, again we have to just make a hole through the center so we can see it through the other side, or you just have to push it out enough to where you might be able to see the center. Now this is cardboard, it's not as easy as the poster board, so I'm going to use just a pair of scissors to make that hole. And now that that hole is there, make sure that there's not too much texture on the other end, so when you put the ruler down, it doesn't give you any problems. Now line up. You want to line up the ruler with the current line, because you want that to be the same on both sides. Okay? At least as much as possible. And actually, I don't think it's going to be accurate unless if I mark it. So I'm going to mark it on both sides. And now we can see, and now we can actually, where we marked it, we're going to connect those dots through the center. Now this side is the one with the logo of the cereal, or the image that the cereal wanted to portray, so you got to make it extra dark so you can see. And that's pretty good. Now that one you're not going to cut in half, but the rest of these I want you to cut them in half right through that line. Stick to the line as much as possible. Now that you have all your pieces, and you have, of course, your one piece that isn't cut, with your hot glue gun, I want you, what we're going to do is we're going to stick the pieces here and on the back in the attempt to make a sphere. You have to work quickly so the glue doesn't dry up on you, but you want to be accurate. You want to make sure it gets on that line. And once you have it on there, reinforce it on the other side with another bit of glue, with a little bit more glue, another strip. Now let's do the same thing on that side. And just get it as close as you can. And let's go ahead and oh, we gotta straighten it up. This one didn't go on perfectly. That's fine. Just try to straighten it out as much as you can. Yeah, that's okay. Alright, now what I want you to do is I want you to heat up that center again. So just pass the glue gun over it and then put a little bit of hot glue, just a little bit. And we're going to take one of these pieces and we're going to put it right in there. That worked a little bit, but not well enough. So let's go ahead and put a whole strip of glue here and try that again. And try to get this just as centered as possible. And we're going to do that here, here, and here. I'm going to do it one more time, and then the remaining two I'm going to do off camera. So I tried to heat that up, but that didn't work, so I'm going to put another strip here. And we are going to just center that as much as possible right there. All right, the remaining two I'm going to do off camera. You'll see it in a second. Okay, that's done. So you end up with something like this. Okay, the next step is we're going to take our paper strips and we're going to start wrapping it around this thing. I'm going to show you one example of what I mean, but we're going to wrap it around like this. We're going to glue it. And then I'll show you what we're going to do from there. Try to make sure it's as round as you can get it. Now, this is going to give you a little room for adjustment, so you can usually adjust it just a little bit. Try to make sure it's round. If it's not, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you can always take it off and try again. It's not going to be perfectly round, just try to make sure it's as close as you can get it. So over here I'm noticing that some of it isn't quite the way I want it, but I'm gonna try to push it out. And also I'm going to just start gluing in some of these sides so it starts to hold itself. Try to center that as well. All these little edges that you have that stay standing, just glue them down. We're going to do that a few more times, like across here, so right across here, and then maybe just across every piece we have here. Yeah. This is one way to make a sphere if you have to make a very large one. Another way, if it's very small, like this is pretty small, you could just crumble a bunch of paper and then tape it, like we do with the eyeballs and some of it. So off camera, I'm going to keep putting these strips on all of the remaining, I don't even know what to call them, on all these remaining sides, and I'll be back. Okay, as I was doing the last one here, it's a little bit too misaligned, so I'm just gonna cut it and just do it again from here so it lines up well with that side. Okay, now we're done with that. So now we have kind of a spherical shape. It's not a perfect sphere, but it rolls around a bit. So the next step is to fill this empty space. We're gonna fill it with paper. I have some tissue paper. I'm gonna try to have some type of paper for you guys, but not for every assignment. You're gonna have to start getting just some paper towels from home or toilet paper. Usually a softer paper is better. So you get your paper and you have to crumple it up, and you're just gonna stuff it in these empty gaps. And you want to stuff it till it fills the edge really well. Like, you don't want it to be really loose in there. You want to keep stuffing it. And that's what I'm gonna do until it's really firm in there. Okay, once the whole thing is filled with paper, now it has some weight and some strength, and it will actually roll. So this is for our sphere, remember. Now, the next step is to start covering this in tape to make sure that none of that paper falls out. And that's what we're gonna do. Now, this won't be perfectly smooth. Perhaps you can make it smooth if you add plaster. You'll hear me talk about plaster in some of the other videos. I don't think we're gonna use any plaster in class, but whenever you're working at home, you feel free to use that stuff. But of course, use the proper protective equipment. You don't want to inhale that plaster dust, etc., etc. So we're just gonna wrap it up in tape, one like this, the same way that we put the paper strips on, until it's completely covered in tape and it has like it's more solid. And I don't think there's any need for me to show you how to do that. Just make sure that you do it in pieces, horizontally, then vertically, and then cover the diagonals. Like this is the next one, until all of it is covered. The reason you don't want to just keep wrapping it around is because then it's going to be really obtuse, which means that it's going to have one side sticking out more than the other, and that's what you want to avoid. Okay, I'm just going to keep doing that to cover up these spaces. Okay, so right now it has a fair amount of strength. It's covered in tape. I've covered up all the edges. It's not a perfect sphere, but it will work for what we need it to work for. The last and final step, at least for the sphere part of it, is to cover it in paper using like a paper mache mix, which is going to be half glue, half oil, half water. Sorry, half glue, half water. And I'm going to show you how to do that next. These are going to be important, so I want you to hold on to this one because it's going to be important for our next project. And you could always use something like this for the things that I'm gonna show you how to build in class. So don't throw this away. Keep it in your bag. It probably doesn't fit in your drawer, so I might just have a box for you to put it somewhere. So the next step is the paper mache, and this is more or less the way our projects are going to go. You need to build it with cardboard, and then you need to reinforce it with the paper strips, and then you stuff it so it's more solid, and then we apply the paper mache. It kind of looks like a walnut or something because it's not a perfect sphere. Okay, now when it's all taped up, the next step is going to be to apply the paper mache mix, and we're going to make our mix just using some glue. I'll try to provide some cups for you guys to use in class. We're going to use some glue, about half water, half glue, and I'll provide the glue as well. And of course you're going to need your brush. If you don't take care of your brush, if you don't clean your brush well after you're done using it, the glue inside of it is going to stiffen up and you're not going to be able to use it again. I do not have brushes for you, so make sure you take care of your brush. and I'm going to show you how we apply the glue, the paper mache mix, in just a second. But before that, it would be helpful, and I don't know if I'll have enough of these cups, but it would be helpful just to hold it, since it is spherical. If we start applying paper mache on top and it rolls, then it's going to be problematic. Or holding it is also it's gonna get your fingers sticky or whatever. So, and you'll notice that this is not a perfect sphere, but it's actually perfect for what we're gonna use it for. So make sure that you hold on to this and that you don't lose it, so we can use it for the next project. Okay, I put my water in the mix. You're also gonna need just regular copy paper, and I will be providing you guys with that. I don't know if I put copy paper on the list, so you might be required to bring your own at a certain point in time. And you're just gonna tear the pieces of the copy paper off. These corners become problematic. It's not to say that you can't use them. It's just that they tend to stick up. So I don't want to deal with that, especially since this is supposed to be a spherical object, and I'm gonna actually take them off. So we have a piece like that. I'm gonna take my brush. First, I'm going to go right into my mix and mix it well. So make sure that the glue and the water mix well. And I am going to put the glue on first. This isn't what you might be used to with newspaper and whatever. I try to keep it as neat as possible. Put the paper on top. Sometimes you have to hold the paper down, and you're just going to put more glue on top of that. And of course, like I said before, it's not going to be perfectly smooth, but I realize that this is about as smooth as it gets when it comes to paper mache. At least the smoothest I know how to do it. If you have any better ways, just let me know and we'll give it a shot. Now, in essence, that's what I'm going to do all the way around this. Once it's dry, I'm going to give it another layer. Now, I don't really see any point in recording that for however long it takes. So I'll just do one more, and then I'm going to do the rest off camera. So again, first you put the glue on, put the paper on, and then put more paper mache or glue mix on top of that paper, brushing it down. You brush it down to try to get it nice and smooth, or as smooth as you can. That way you keep your fingers as clean as possible, and we don't have a huge mess in class. If I don't have enough of these cups, then just do it on a sheet of paper. And even if your fingers get glue on them, it's not the end of the world. Just wash it off. Alright, I'm going to do that off camera. I'll probably come back once I have the first layer on, and then I'll apply a second layer, and this assignment will be done. Okay, so my first layer is on, and this is really sticky. I'm going to try something. I'm gonna leave it here, but I was worried that it was gonna get stuck to the styrofoam. I guess I'll be the guinea pig, and we'll find out. And of course, if it gets stuck for me, then you shouldn't do it. You should just probably leave it on a sheet of paper to dry. But I'm gonna let that first layer dry, and then I'm gonna apply a second layer. So this is not completely dry, but I think it's dry enough for my second layer. So I'm just going to put on the second layer, same exact way that I did the first, and then I'm going to let it completely dry. I guess I'll just do one piece for you guys. Put your glue on first. Put the paper on, and then put glue on top of that, and push it down. It might slide off. You might have to hold it with your fingers occasionally, but don't worry, the glue is non-toxic, so you don't have to worry about about that too much. And we're gonna do that all the way around. Oh, and it did not stick to the cup. So that's good. All right, I'm gonna put the second layer on off camera. And then I'm gonna let it dry. And that's gonna be it. Hold on to this one. Remember, hold on to it for the next project or for another project. And that's what you're gonna end up with.